like the notebook is shared because I can't get into it. Am I surprised? Not in the least. My dog has not been doing well the last couple of nights, and so I've been getting up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning to let him outside. And thoughts were running through my mind because I had to do a lecture this morning, and I thought, oh, I won't go into the office, I'll use my notepad, right? So I sat there and put it all together, and had some good things about jealousy and how to work through on your spiritual growth and everything, and I can't get back in it. Okay, so obviously I'm not meant to. Because I tried to download it this morning. I tried using a CD disk to download it. I tried emailing it, but I didn't have the email address to my old computer. I didn't know how to use the joystick, and I tried doing all of those things, and it didn't work. I'll bring the computer, and my husband said, don't bother bringing it, the extension cord. You got the battery, use that. Well, I can't get into it, so we're going to do it another way. Okay, so we've had 3 conversations in the last 2 days with people in regards to their spiritual development. And I had some wonderful quotes for you, which I can't give you at the moment. But I want to share with you that we're all on a completely different path. No 2 people are going to find their development the same. We have 72 aspects of personality. And with your aspects of personality, you're working on many, many different levels. When it comes to your job, perhaps you're on a level 10 and you're totally together with your job and you're getting it and you're just gung-ho with all of that. But perhaps with your personal relationships over here, you're only on a level 1 or 2. This is where you need to do your focusing, because this is where you need to experience to grow, to add to your personality in that aspect. And that's what people need to understand. Okay, someone said to me, I thought once you were on a level 6, you're on a level 6. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to remember that we're all individuals, and how we grow and we learn has to do with how we experience and interpret what happens with the interactions with other people. And this is important, okay? No one is 100% perfect. That includes me. As of late, I have absolutely no patience, and I know that a lot of my impatience has to do with being tied into the grid system. And I told you the last time I spoke, that between November and January, they gave me an extra strand in my DNA, which has made me much more sentient. Good and bad. I can tell you, whenever we're going to have an earthquake, my husband jokes because he says he's going to rent me out to the weather station. And it is funny, but at the same time, it's very difficult to live with some of these wonderful abilities. It helps me to understand people when I'm dealing with them on an intuitive level in regards to where they're going and what they need to do and how to help them heal, because that's what I'm specializing in now. But at the same time, think of how emotional it is for me every time I know that something's about to happen on the earth plane, you know? I was aware of what was happening emotionally in Holland. I didn't know what it was. I just knew something devastating was going to happen. And I was beside myself. So there's good and bad to it all. But what I want you to understand is that, I'm going to explain this because I think this is important. I can remember stories within my own family of when we were growing up. And there's 5 kids in my family, and we all have different perspectives of how our childhood was. We all say we had a wonderful childhood, okay? Had a terrific mom who was widowed 3 times. And just terrific. Every Sunday was family day. But some of the experiences, when I listen to my brothers or my sister, they talk about the experience in a completely different way than I do. And I go, I was there. I don't remember that. Okay? So what you have to remember is, even though you're within the same family, you're not going to have the same experience, because it's your perception of what has gone on. It's not someone else's reality, it's yours. And what led you to that? You know, if someone is giving you a hard time, Is it because when you were in grade 3, your teacher said, you aren't allowed to do that? So someone comes to you now and says, you're not allowed to do that, and you go back into this childish attitude of having a temper tantrum because you've been told you can't do it? You need to learn from that experience and understand that. That's about things from the past. When you live in the past, you can't be in the present. And when you're worried about what's going on in the future, you aren't living in the present. You need to be constantly in the here and the now in order to move forward. Worry about what's happening now. How do I deal with what's going on in my life now? The past is the past. I don't want you to forget it, because it made you the wonderful individual with all the experiences that has brought you to the here and now. But you've got to just put it in proper perspective. You've got to put it where it belongs, in the past. It made you who you are. I know, that's how I got here. Now, we need to focus on the here and the now. I'm not saying you should forget about your future and where you're going. What I'm saying is keep it in proper perspective. You need to focus on the now. When you focus on what you need to be doing in the here and the now, especially with your spiritual growth, you're going to grow in leaps and bounds in your spiritual growth because you're setting the foundation and the groundwork for everything you need to be doing in the future. Am I making sense? I hope so. So some of the things we have to do to be in the here and the now is to forgive others. But before you even do that, you have to forgive yourself. You have to remember that we all make mistakes. It is through our mistakes we learn to do what we need to do in order to progress. If you walked across a broken bottle, you're going to cut your feet. You cut your feet and you're in pain and you're bleeding and you have to get help. Next time you see a broken bottle or a broken glass, you're going to know. You don't want to walk across it, it's too painful. Well, that's what life's experiences are all about. So where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Figure it out. And then focus on what's going to bring you that in the here and the now. How's your relationships? Are you on good terms with everyone? Do you speak your mind? Do you set your peace? Do you tell it the way it is? There's different ways of doing that. As of late, I'm not very pleasant because I tell it exactly the way it is.
Diplomatic.
Oh, I'm not diplomatic lately. But I also think that's because I'm much more sensitive and I don't have time for the nonsense and the rhetoric that sometimes goes with the position that I hold. So, if I've stepped on your toes, I apologize. On the other hand, what is it you need to learn from my attitude? What is it you need to deal with in order to grow and learn spiritually? No two people are going to learn the same lessons. You may be in the same place, but each one learns their lessons completely differently. You accept what you need to. And when it comes to finding the material that's going to help you move forward, there's some wonderful, wonderful books. And I say to people, pick up the book that feels appropriate for you. And yeah, sometimes you have to go back and read it 3 and 4 times, because the first time, you get it at the level you're on. And some of our spiritual books are really in depth. You go back and read it 4 months from now, and you get it at that level. It's a much deeper meaning. You get it. One of the things I find interesting, and I hope you're all getting it, is when Norm Galka gets up here to talk. He's talking about the esoteric messages behind our Bible, because that's really what our Bible's all about. It's not about what it says in print. It's all about the esoteric messages, how to live your life, what you should be doing in order to move forward. It was written in such a manner that you need to read it. You need to look beyond just the printed word. That's what's wrong with most of our religions today. They look at it as black and white and it's the gospel. No, it's not. They're mostly stories that to explain to us how to live our lives. If you want to move forward, you have to question. You have to look at different things in order to find your own true belief system. And don't believe it just because I'm telling you from here. You have to find your own answers. I don't have all the answers. I can only share with you what I've become aware of. But you can't experience what I've experienced, because I walked my path alone, just as you do. So I encourage you, get out, do what you need to do. Ask yourself, is this where I belong? Am I truly feeling connected to this? Whatever it is, whether it's your job, your relationship, whether you're reading a book, whether you're in this place, is this where you truly belong? Are you here because you feel the need to be among like-minded people? Or are you putting a face on or a facade for someone else? If you are, you don't belong here. We're hard workers. We work at what we do. We share. We encourage. But we aren't going to tell you what to do, because that's not our job. That's why we have the 7 principles. It's called personal responsibility. So where do you want to go? What do you want to do? I encourage you each to stay on your spiritual path. And being spiritual doesn't always mean being within these 4 walls, because you have to carry your spirituality into your everyday life. When you do that, you're going to find that you're much more peaceful. You're in harmony with everyone around you. And when you do that, you know that you truly love yourself. And once you love yourself, it's much easier to love others, to share, to be part of, to encourage, to help them move forward. That's what true spiritual development